Now, in this class, we will continue from where we left out yesterday evening. Yesterday evening, we had, yesterday's morning class, we have seen all the, we have seen how to write a servlet, and then we moved further in the evening class with how to, handle sessions and how to check, check the attributes and how to invalidate the session and so on and so forth. Now, all these things, we have also seen about cookies. Now, all these things we will try to see or look at it using the JSP technology or Java Server Pages technology. Now, as we are running Java servlets in Apache Tomcat server or a server which supports Java technology, in the same way, even JSP pages are also written inside a notepad, as we had written the servlets, and they also run, or we have to make the JSP pages run in the same Apache Tomcat web server. But the procedure or the way we used to do the servlets is quite different when we handle Java Server Pages or JSP pages. Now here, actually JSP is much more convenient to write as well as much more convenient to deploy rather than or when compared to the servlets. There is a question which has popped up. What is the command to start Apache? What was the question? What is the command to start Tomcat server? Now, in the command prompt there is no such thing called Zoom over here. Anyway, if it's what you try to do it is wherever you have installed Apache Tomcat server, go to that directory. Inside that directory, go till bin. Inside bin, you try to type, when you are inside the bin directory, type startup.bat. Startup.bat. So in chat, I'm just typing the answer there. Where is the chat? In the chat, I'm just typing the answer. In the so this way, by typing the startup.bat, you will be able to start the Apache Tomcat server. But if you people go into the depth of it, what may happen is sometimes the path, the Java path or servlets path and such other things may not be set on your system or on your laptop. So there you may have or you may encounter some problems regarding the setup or setting of the path and such things. As well as once it is started, you may find some of them may find difficult to log in. Like for example, in the Apache Tomcat, when I typed localhost and then I typed :9090 and manager I have used, there it asked me username and password to log in. So my username and password is Tomcat, but you may have a different username password depending upon the version which you are using. So just be careful about those things. Now let us move further. And if you have any doubt regarding setting up the path and so or starting the Tomcat, or if you are getting any problem, any errors, please contact me later. So let us move further with the JSP. Now what we were saying is JSP is actually much easy. There is another question which have popped up. I'll try to take these questions separately. Let us continue with the JSP part. I'll handle those questions separately. Okay. Let us move further with the JSP. Now, in the JSP, what I was saying is JSP is much more convenient than trying to use the use servlets. Now, one thing is we have said that, or we talked theoretically, we have talked that JSP pages, in JSP pages, Java is written within HTML. But whereas in servlet, HTML is written within Java code. So it's much difficult to write HTML within Java code rather than writing Java code within the HTML part. That is one thing, fine. But the another part or the another aspect is that if you have seen, every time when we were writing a servlet, we had to compile that servlet. And then after compiling it, we have to, before compiling, whenever we were writing a servlet, we had to create tags in web.xml file, servlet and servlet mapping we had to create. Then save that file. Then compile the servlet. After compiling the servlet, we had to reload the our application in the server. Then only it works. But JSP or Java Server Pages, it's much more convenient. We don't have to do anything in web.xml file. That is the configuration file or the deployment descriptor part. We don't have to do anything. And we don't even have to compile JSP pages like we compiled the Java servlets. This is because JSP will be implicitly converted into servlets. So now let us look at how JSP works. We will go to that same directory in Apache Tomcat server, web apps, and my student app. Now, if you look at it, we had this form.html page. This form.html page, the action part. What was the action part? Action part was to go to a servlet. That is my application and my form servlet. Now, instead of my form servlet, we will write the same functionality what my form servlet does. We will try to implement using JSP page. So what I will do is, very first thing is, let us try to change the inside form. Let us try to change the let us give the name for the JSP part. So let us call this as my form. My JSP form. Let's say my JSP form, and with the extension we will save this as we will be using the extension as .jsp. Now this URL, instead of going to a servlet, now we will be going to the JSP form. The JSP page. Let me save this part. Now servlets we had created in webinf and inside classes. JSP pages will be created on the root itself. For example, my student app is there. This is my app. So inside that app, instead of going to webinf and so things, we will be creating JSP pages in the root of our application. That is, our application is my student app. Inside this itself, we will create it where we had already created the form as well as index page. So let us save this file with the name as my JSP form.jsp. Now inside this JSP, we will start with the HTML part, and let us write the body. Now, what is the purpose of this JSP? The purpose of this JSP or the servlet, what we had written is to retrieve the values what user is typing in the fields, and then once the user submits it, we have to retrieve those values and process them. So here in the JSP part, what we will do is, very first thing we need is to retrieve the values. How do we retrieve the values? In our servlets, we had this JSP form. Let us open this for our reference. Now what we were doing is, we were using, doesn't matter, print writer. We were using string, str and username and password. Let me copy these two statements. And I am going to paste it here. Now, are these statements HTML statements or are these Java statements? These statements are Java statements. So what I am going to do is, Java's JSP is written using angle bracket and percentage. Angle bracket and percentage. This is how scriptlets tags are written for JSP. So at this place, we had retrieved the username and password what this form is going to send us. We are not bothered because we are not bothered over these names because they are the same from HTML page itself. These form names will be coming. What we need to remember here is that the use of REQ, request. Now here this REQ, what we were using is from the HTTP servlet request. This is REQ is what we have created as an object of servlet request, HTTP servlet request. Now this REQ cannot be used here. What we need to use is built-in or implicit JSP objects. If you remember the theory class, our theory slides, if you remember, we discussed about something about the implicit, JSP objects, such as request, response, and session. All these are implicit objects. So here we will not be using HTTP servlet request. We can directly use request. This is a built-in object. The request is a built-in object here. You don't have to create this object. It is already present. But here, this request object is coming as part of the response, and request object is coming as part of the arguments. Here, request is a built-in object. You cannot use any other name apart from request. I cannot say request 1 or REQ, such things. You have to use the term request. Now, once this request object is there, what do we do? Let us just print these requests, whatever data which we have retrieved from the request. So what I will do is, I'll again come back. I have closed the scriptlet tag. I'll come back, and then here I'll say write an HTML text, that is, let us say user name, and then I will print out the username, which will be retrieved from this uname parameter, and it is stored in str user. So I will use again JavaScript expression tags. So if you remember, we had something known as angle bracket percentage equal to as expression tag, and I'll just use str user and then close this with the percentage angle bracket. as well as try to have break tag. Then let us say password. And this also we will use the what you call JSP expression tags. And here I have pass. Let me save this program. We have saved this program. Now I don't have to do anything in web.xml. Remember that. I don't have to do anything in web.xml. I don't even have to compile this JSP file. This JSP file is simply within your root directory of your application, that is my JSP form. And we have already changed the link here. We had already changed the link from servlet to my JSP form.jsp. Now please remember, in servlet we were never using the servlet name .java or .class. But here in JSP you have to explicitly specify the extension of the file, that is .jsp. Now let me refresh. I don't even have to reload my web application. You can just let me refresh this page, and then let me just try to type some username and password. Now, are you able to find out or figure out? I typed ABC as the username, and then the password I have typed. So this is how the same functionality, what we do it in servlets, can be implemented using JSP pages or Java server pages. Now let us move further. What we did here, we had an if condition, and then if it is if username and password is correct, we were displaying success. Otherwise we were displaying failed. So let us execute the same functionality here in JSP. Let me copy this if statement, because I don't want to type and waste time. Let me copy this if statement, and let us come back to our JSP page. In this JSP page, we had retrieved username and password. Here itself, I will use an if condition, because it's a Java's code, if condition. I'm opening if condition. So what happening is, the next thing, what I need to do is I have to say that if username password is correct, then let us say success. And then we have to close this if statement, and we will take up the else part later. But this statement, that is H1, is an HTML. We cannot write within scriptlet tags, because it will be interpreted as a Java code. So instead of writing it here, and instead of closing this, once the if condition is open here, we will close the scriptlet tag, that is this %angle bracket, followed by, we will have the HTML. Then this has to close. That is the body of the if has to close using the closing curly brackets, but this closing curly bracket is part of the JSP, or it's part of the Java. So we need to again open angle bracket, the scriptlet tag, and then close the scriptlet tag. So this is how the code is changed, where we have the if condition, the condition opens. If this is true, this will be executed. Now we need to write the else part. Else obviously will be written after closing the the block of the if. So once this is closed, the next else part we will start from here itself. Else also we will use the angle curly brackets, and then we will close the scriptlet tag here, and we will say it is failed. We will say failed, and then we need to close the block of else part. So this is the curly brackets, which is Java code. So we will open the tag, and then we will again close the scriptlet tag. Now all these things is not needed right now, so I'm just trying to remove them. I'll just keep it as it is. Just keep it as it is. We will now save this file, and then let us just execute this. Let us say that it is ABC, and let me give some other password, and let me click login. So it says failed. The username is ABC. I have typed in some password, and let us try to type the correct password, that is AAA, and let us say login. You can find that we have success and ABC as well as the password is displayed. Now here what I will do is I will just remove this password part and username part. So this is how the if condition we are handling, or we are trying to authenticate a user that what do you call his username, and based on his username and password we are trying to authenticate the user. Now next thing what we will see is the sessions within Java server pages. Now what were we using for sessions in servlets? We were using HTTP session, and then we were creating a session object, and using REQ request we were saying that request.get session. Now in JSP we don't have to do all these things, because we directly will be able to use what do you call session as the implicit object. So what we will do is we have session ID. So let me just copy this entire not copy entire thing. Let us just copy the method part. Let us come here. Now as we have the request as the object, we also have session. Now SCSS was our what do you call object, but JSP already has session as the implicit object. So if this is there, what we will do is after success we will try to display session ID. So let me write what do you call session, let us session ID, and this session ID we will use script what do you call Java Jsp Expression Tags, and we have something known as session dot the same methods work. Session dot same method works, and then let me close this what do you call with the angle bracket. Now what was the next thing? Next thing was creation time. So here creation time we will use the same expression tag, but the method for the creation time is get creation time. So here we will have get creation time, and then what was this last access time. We'll have last access time. It was with session and we will use the Jsp expression tag. We will paste this. We will close the expression tag, but here it is session. So session ID can be retrieved this way using the session object. This session object is a built-in or implicit Java JSP object. Now let me save this file, and this we are doing only if it is what do you call if username and password is true. Only then we are doing it. For fail we are not retrieving session and creating creation time and so on so things. So let me go back and just type the correct username and password. Just a minute, I'm having some problem here. What is the problem? Okay, sorry. Here like normal Java statements, I started even the script, this one I have given semicolon. So let me remove all the semicolons. Because this is an expression tag, let me remove all the expressions. All the semicolons saying the end of the statement. Let me save this and let us work again. Now you can find that session ID is created, creation time is there, last access time is there. Now what I will do is I will just try to give some break statements here so that we will be able to distinguish between different lines. Now you can find that the session ID has been is displayed with creation time as well as last access time. Now if you refresh, obviously same thing works here. Last access time will change, creation time will remain same. So this is how even sessions can be handled using what you call Jsp pages. Just remember that session, we don't create this object, it is implicit object. Request, we don't create this request, it's an implicit object. But whereas in our what you call servlets, we were creating the object for request, response, as well as for sessions. But in JSP, we don't have to do that. Now, in the same way, we will be able to add attributes to the what do you call our session. What we will do is this we had a what do you call an link inside our servlet. The same link we will also try to have it here. But instead of my servlet, let us say that my page. Let me say my page.jsp. My page.jsp. And then let me save this. Let me refresh this. You are getting the link here. Now let us try to write my page. My page will be same as what we have written the servlet. Same as what we have written for my servlet. That is, we had said that it's a what do you call confidential page and so things. Okay. So just let me copy, not copy of this. Now what we will do is we will create a new JSP. I'm just copying this. What was the name we had given? mypage.jsp. Okay. Now here we will give mypage.jsp. Now let us try to look at this. HTML will be there. We are not, what are we doing in servlet? We are not retrieving the ID and all. We are just trying to check. So these statements will not be there. Actually, this whole JavaScript will not be there. Success also will not be there. We were just trying to say that this is a confidential page. That is what is the security we are trying to have it here. And then this part, what do you call, this else part and also will not be there. But what we need to do is we need to have the attribute here and check whether the attribute is present or not. Then only we will be able to apply. So here we will start with this part. Now, have we assigned the attribute email to our JSP page? Inside this JSP, we have not assigned any of the attributes. So where were we? We were, let us open what we did at form.servlets. We had created these two attributes. So we will create in JSP also. We will create in my JSP form page also. We will try to create these two attributes over here. Sorry, not here, inside the what we call JSP or scriptlet tags. Now this should be session. This should be session there. So we are creating these two attributes. Now we will come back to this part. So this is a Java code or JSP code. So we need to write it within the scriptlet tags. So once this is true, let me first close the JSP because again it will give me error. With the close the what you call the body of the if statement. Now this is the thing which we are trying. This is the thing which we are trying to do. Let us not have this part. Okay. Now this is a confidential page, so and so email is there. So let me save this file. Let us save JSP file also, and let us go back to our where is it? This one, localhost. Let us come from the beginning itself from form. Now here we will use ABC. Let's say some different password that says failed. Now let us give the correct password. What was the correct password? AAA. Now you can see that the session is created. Along with the session, even the what you call attributes have been created. Along with the session, even the attributes have been created. So let us click here. This is going to take me to my page.jsp. Now here I'm having a problem. Just let us, okay. Since I have copied and pasted, here we are using SESS session. So let us try to change this to the object session itself. Now let me just refresh this page. And you can find that through the attributes we were able to handle, or through the what you call session attributes we were able to handle the information about what you call what is the about the confidential page. And we had also seen how to add the attributes within the sessions. So this is the JSP page. Sorry, let me just close this servlet here. This servlet also will be closed. Now this is the JSP form from the what do you call where from the HTML this form is called, and this form, through this form what we try to do it is we try to retrieve username and password using the request object. We have an if condition to check whether username password is correct or not. Then we are trying to set some of the attributes. Now once this attribute is set, this what do you call my page JSP. Inside this mypage.jsp file, we are trying to check the attribute. If the attribute is a string which has some value, then we will be able to display this. This is for the authentication part. We'll be able to display it. So the same thing works with respect to Java server pages, what we have seen for servlet. For example, the session attributes, what do you call the request object, as well as the response object is also there. Instead of using request, we can use instead of using res, what we have done in servlet, we have to use the implicit object response. We can use the cookie class, add the cookies using the response dot add cookie method, and then we would be able to retrieve the cookies as well. Now the other thing is, it is not that the sessions can be will be different for servlets, and sessions will be different for JSP. Now a session created in servlet for the same application, remember that same application means this this my student app folder, or the the whole app which you are having, my student app, the web applications you are creating. For the same web application, the session can be shared between JSP pages as well as between servlets. So it's not that for a single user, when the session is created, that the session it is not that it will be different for JSP pages and different for servlets. A same session obviously the session will be same when the user is same. So the same session can be shared between JSP as well as servlet pages. So this is all was all about what you call JSPs.